Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. We have just seen Lara stop Leigh Wood at the end of the seventh round. In Nottingham Arena. He is the new WBA featherweight champion. Elliot Grigg, fantastic fight. Was like just I think a lot of people had Leigh Wood winning. There's a lot to cover here. We're doing this immediately after the fight, but yeah, just let me know what is your immediate reaction to not to the stoppage, but to the fight. We'll get onto the stoppage in a bit.
Incredible, incredible. Bit different actually than what I thought it would play out. I feel sorry, I feel choked up by it. Now I feel it started off obviously a bit cagey. The second round was unbelievable. And I felt like Leigh Wood kind of let himself down a bit in the second round. He got hurt in the second round. But from there on until the seventh, sorry, from there until the seventh, boxed beautifully. Kept
Yeah,
it at range. Um, hurt Lara a few times, I think. Didn't necessarily wobble him, but caught him clean a few times as well. Boxed really, really well. And then the stoppage in the seventh, don't get me wrong, hell of a shot from Lara. I think Lara actually caught him, from what I could see, a couple of shots before that seemed to hurt him a bit as well. But the shot that finished it, can't blame Leigh Wood because obviously that left hook that was landing consistently on Lara. Tried to go for it again, got caught. Gutted for him personally, gutted for him winning the fight like that and being stopped like that. But yeah, I
yeah,
think from a spectacle, fantastic fight.
yeah. I'm just looking at the scorecards have been released. Howard Foster had it 58-56, Leigh Woods. So 4 rounds to 2. So did um Guillermo Pineda. I hope I've said that name correctly. He had it 4-2 as well. He is the exact same scorecard as Howard Foster. And then Oliver Brian had the fight 59-55 to Leigh Woods. That's 5 rounds to 1.
Mm.
So all had Leigh Wood winning. Obviously, plenty of the fight left. Lara, I believe he was winning the seventh round and scored the knockdown as well. That would have been a 10-8 round to Lara as well. However, at the end of the seventh round, if we got to the end of the seventh round, Leigh would have still been winning the fight. And we'll never know. I was saying to you off camera, as fans, you want to see that conclusive ending. I'm not saying I want to see someone get laid out, knocked out, unconscious, but you want to see kind of a proper stoppage. And we didn't get that. So that's a bit disappointing. Uh, Thoughts on the stoppage, Elliot? As you can see, fantastic, amazing left hook from Lara. We've kind of seen Leigh Wood get up off the floor before against Michael Conlon, and then box a 12-round fight, which he won. But let me know. There's a lot to uncover here, but just give me your thoughts on the stoppage.
To say this, I think, to be honest with you, I don't look. I don't want to see anyone get hurt first and foremost. However, I think the reason why I think it's kind of questionable is just because there was what 9, 8, 7, how many seconds were left in the round. I feel like a champion, Leigh Wood, your champion there. I don't. He looked. Don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously the guys are in the ring. They probably have a better perception of what's going on than I do and watching on TV. But he looked relatively clear when the towel came in. Immediately disappointed. Afterwards, didn't. We've seen fighters in the past. Go straight onto oxygen, be dazed, be kind of like really sort of struggling. We've seen post fight interviews where they've been talking all types of nonsense. He didn't seem to be in that predicament. So with 9 seconds left, 8 seconds left, whatever, part of me is just thinking rather than throw the towel in, could someone not be shouting like, I don't know, spit the gum shit out, take a knee, do anything you can, but just get to that round, the end of that round,
Yeah,
run if you have to, run for 10 seconds. You're still going to be winning. So for me, that's why it's a bit questionable. And to be honest with you, I'm not saying that Leigh Wood will, but I almost wonder whether that's kind of drawn a bit of a schism actually between Leigh Wood and Ben Davison. Leigh Wood didn't look impressed by that at the end of the fight. And I wonder
yeah,
what the sort of ramifications long term will be from that decision, to be perfectly honest.
yeah. I think if you consider that towel going in, obviously involves Leigh Wood losing his world title in front of however many thousands of fans in his home city in a massive fight. Yeah, look, it'll be interesting. It will be interesting to see the backlash as well. And I think that personally, I think if Leigh Wood does come out and say um, that fight shouldn't have been stopped, I was okay. There were 9 seconds, however many seconds left. I think personally, I do think a lot of people are going to agree with him.
Mm.
Um, so we'll see what happens in the next 24, 48 hours. But yeah, I'm very interested to see the backlash from it. Anything else you want to add from the stop about the stoppage, mate?
Well, just we've seen some horrendous kind of, I suppose, excuses. We've seen the Eubank one recently, the elbow, the weight, all this other stuff. And I just think, yeah, this would be one way if he did come out like you say and legitimately said, I think it would stop prematurely. I think a large percentage of people would agree. I'm just kind of, to be honest, I'm also thinking really what's next for Leigh Wood now. I mean, there was rumours obviously before. Obviously you were watching it, but I was sort of driving, so I heard Five Live commentators saying that strong rumours that he dropped 12 pounds this week. So from regards of weight, will he stay down there? Will he try and chase big fights at that weight? Will he move up? I'm interested to see what happens with Leigh Wood here, to be perfectly honest. But now he doesn't have that world title to sort of defend and sort of keeping him at that weight, whether he will move up or not.
Definitely. I think Leigh Wood's been making featherweight for a long time. I think he's been making that title limit 7-8 years now. I'm going to say 34 years old, hasn't fought in 11 months. It must have been, I don't think he looked horrific at the weigh-in, but it must have been difficult to make that weight. It must have been very difficult.
Lara's smaller as well, isn't he? He looks more natural at that weight.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just obviously kind of younger, younger as well is kind of a bit easier to make that weight when you're younger. I do want to touch on what's next for Leigh Wood as you did then. Like the thing is, some people on paper might say, "Oh, maybe time for him to retire now." 34, just been stopped, achieved what he's wanted to. I personally, I'm not saying he's just getting started in his career, but I think there's a lot of fights that we could see him in. Going into this week, a potential fight against Josh Warrington was spoken about. I feel like I'm not sure that's going to happen now, but just give me your thoughts on what you think's next for him. Do you think he'll stay at featherweight and maybe try and maybe, you never know, we could see a rematch against Michelle Lara, or do you think a move up to super featherweight is more realistic? What do you think?
I mean, they were talking in the week. I think I heard Eddie Hearn was talking, saying that he still thinks that Wood Warrington could happen, even if Wood loses. Do I agree with that? In a weird way, yes, but not next. I feel like Leigh Wood coming off a loss into that fight doesn't make it the fight that it could be. So I don't think he'll necessarily go straight into that one. Like you say, that would then keep him at featherweight longer. But I mean, if the money's there for that, I would happily see it. I do actually agree with you fully, actually, when it comes to what you were saying around Leigh Wood. I know, obviously, he's 34 years old, but it does feel very much like his career's got going kind of since what Reece Mould was. That was in 2021, wasn't it? Those last, those fights against kind of Conlan, Lara, Kanzu, you're sitting there going, actually, he's like really started to build some momentum here. Very obviously attractive fighter, very attractive style. I wouldn't begrudge him potentially moving up in weight to feather. I mean, looking at some of the guys that are champions in that division, like Navarrete, could he fight someone like that? I'm not sure actually. I think Navarrete probably would beat him, but I think there's definitely, if the weight cut was difficult, I'd happily see him move up there. And you've got people like, Archie Sharp that are kind of up in that division, ranked really high. I think Leigh Wood, is as good a fighter as Archie Sharp, frankly. So he could do things in that division. But whether or not he'd want to, step in there and fight, I'm not saying he'd fight the likes of Cordina, like why would there's no money there? But I'm saying like the promotional side of it. But like, I think I'd happily see him move up. I'd happily see him fight Warrington. But if he does fight Warrington, I don't think he'll be next. Is the conclusion I draw from that.
Yeah, look, there's lots of options there. I think one thing about Leigh Wood is that he can punch hard. He was beating Michelle Lara. And I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if there's a queue of guys waiting to fight him. Just want to round things up just by discussing Michelle Lara as well. Do you consider him the best featherweight in the world now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Tough
he's
one.
obviously right up there. The reason I go is because we were talking about it off camera as well. Just like his style is so odd and unorthodox that like there were large portions of that fight where Leigh Wood made him look quite ordinary. He was missing like hooks from like that you seem to be swinging from his ankles, and it just and he's like crossing his feet and he's kind of jumping in. I think he's definitely a handful. I don't necessarily think. I would hate to fight him, mate. He just looks so like the head comes in, different parts of the body come in. He just looks like like he would to overcome him. You've almost got to have that kind of street sort of smarts as well. I I mean, the guys in that division, who else is there? Like, what, Ray Vargas? Yeah, I'd put him up there, to be honest. I'd put him up there with Vargas, possibly, as the best in that division. I think who would want to fight him necessarily? He's
Yeah,
awkward. He's I don't want to say dirty, but he plays very loosely by the rules. And yeah, I just kind of feel like he's up there, but I wouldn't want to fight him personally if I was in that division. I think there's easier fights and, in a way, probably bigger money fights out there than fighting Lara, in my opinion.
yeah. I yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot to there's lots to discuss. Obviously, as well as Leigh Wood, he has options as well. There's a lot of obviously Michelle Lara is Mexican. There are a lot of potential all Mexican matchups in that division, which you mentioned, like Ray Vargas as an example. Luis Alberto Lopez, who obviously beat Josh Roynton a couple of months ago. That's a great fight. Michael Conlan is still around. Love to see that. Like,
I
imagine.
think I think I think Lara would have Michael Conlan, frankly. Now, don't get me wrong, Conlan would have. Conlan's a great fighter. I love watching him fight. Beautiful technician.
Yeah,
I just feel like at some point Lara would just do something ridiculous. No, I just don't get me wrong. I think Conlan's a better boxer than Lara. I do, but I still think Lara would win if I had to pick it. If I had to pick a winner out of that fight.
yeah, absolutely. Okay. Feel like we've touched on a lot in what's been kind of 12 minutes. So can leave things there earlier. But yeah, just been great to review this with you. But look, just what a fight. It was promoted as a potential fight of the year contender. It was a fight of the year contender. I don't know if we'll see a rematch. I would love to see a rematch just because it was such a good fight. Credit to Leigh Wood. I think his stock's gone up. As has Michel Lars, of course, he's a world champion. I feel like as a Brit, we are down to not too many world champions now. There's not too many left. We've got Sonny Edwards, Tyson Fury, and a couple others holding the fort. Not literally. Gonna give you the stage just to close off, mate. If there's anything else you want to add before we call it a night.
Nothing else other than I'm disappointed for Leigh Wood. Great guy, conducted himself in a really positive way, and yeah, I'm disappointed for him. And hopefully, he comes back again. I agree with you. If we see the rematch, I'd love to see it. Who wouldn't watch it again? Yeah, just thoughts out to him really and the team.
Amazing, Elliot Grigg. Thank you very much. I will speak to you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for watching.